Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I ask these two questions of every nominee who comes before any of my committees. They are, since you became a legal adult, have you ever made unwanted requests for sexual favors or committed any verbal or physical harassment or assault of a sexual nature?
No.
Have you ever faced discipline or entered into a settlement related to this kind of conduct?
No.
As a law professor, you continue to be critical of affirmative action programs. For example, in a 2009 Law Review article, you argued that such programs, I'm quoting, confirms and reinforces traditional and historical associations between race and disadvantage and imposes what you term dignitary harm. Not sure what that means. What does that mean?
Well, Senator Hirono, that is an article about different conceptions of dignity in constitutional law. The term dignity is used by the U.S. Supreme Court and other constitutional courts in other countries, and that is it was an attempt as an academic to explain the different senses in which dignity was used in those cases. So that was the context of that writing.
Is that something that you would apply to any cases that come before you, whether or not a regulation or any issue that came before you imposes dignitary harm?
No, Senator, of course not. These are very academic and abstract discussions of a concept of dignity in specific cases. Those are all things I would put to one side. If I were fortunate enough to be confirmed, I would follow the precedents and the law in cases that come before me.
Here's an actual situation. I think you responded to something that happened in France where they made dwarf-tossing illegal. And I think that you said something like, it's up to them whether this was an individual decision. But why wouldn't, it would seem as though your writing about dignitary harm would apply to something like dwarf-tossing, wouldn't it?
Yeah, Senator, thank you for the opportunity to clarify that. Again, it was I wrote about a particular case in France that used different conceptions of dignity. There was a town in France that banned dwarf throwing. There was an individual, Mr. Wackenheim, who made his living doing that, and he said that this ban affected his dignitary interests. But in my article, I don't take a position one way or another on these issues. I'm just pointing out.
I think your article has been interpreted as that you were okay with dwarf-tossing. This is one of the reasons that an organization that supports their issues is very much against your nomination. After Elena Kagan was nominated to the Supreme Court, you criticized the confirmation process, and you wrote that nominees are, and quote, coached to choose from certain stock answers, quote, and continue to quote you. Nominees are confirmed based on platitudes and public discourse suffers as a result. You argued that nominees should not be confirmed, quote you, based on incantations of the right formulas without an examination of their actual beliefs. And I must say, sitting here through all of the dozens and dozens of nominees that we have had that we've had hearings on, that what we do get are platitudes, and I believe that public discourse suffers because it's very difficult for us to ascertain what your actual beliefs are. And since you believe that we should get to the actual beliefs, it must be because you believe that judges do make decisions based on their actual beliefs. Is that not so? Isn't that why you criticize the confirmation process?
Well, Senator Hirono, in that article, I suggest that a nominee's views on judicial philosophy and how they would decide cases are fair game for discussion, and I've sought before this committee to give straightforward answers to those questions.
So are you saying that because you have sat here saying, as does every other nominee, that you will follow precedent, and we all know that even as Justice Rehnquist said, judges do not come here as blank slates, that you have a wealth of experiences and you bring those experiences to the fore, including various kinds of ideological perspectives that you may have. There is absolutely no question in my mind that a judge's actual beliefs is what's impelling a lot of the decisions, and that not just following precedent, because a lot of times precedent is not on all fours applicable to any case before you. So are you saying that you sit here and tell us that you have been disclosing your actual beliefs because you didn't respond to the question that he's not a justice yet, that my colleague asked you about when life begins.
Well, Senator, I come here to this committee with no agenda and no ideology, and I would strive, if I were confirmed, to follow the law in every case.
That is what they all say. Thank you.